let's suppose you are a child who goes to church with your family, and the church says we're having a summer camp, a youth camp. It'll be fun. We're going canoeing, and we'll be by a beach, and yes, Bible study and all that, but also fun summertime stuff. Would you be excited to go? Yeah, probably. Nothing weird about that necessarily. And this, I will show you right here. This is what was advertised by Leatherwood Baptist Church in Alabama. Earlier this summer, they promoted their youth camp. Even though they're in Alabama, they were going to go to Midfield, Texas, June 4th through the 7th. And you could see it's for grades 6 through 12. What are they going to do? Basketball, pickleball, swimming, and then worship and Bible study. But campfire. So, some fun stuff, and then the Bible. So that was the plan. The cost was $250, which, by the way, for the flight to Texas and the whole weekend, it's not that much money. And the church was offsetting the costs of this. So whatever. I can imagine a lot of kids were super excited to go here. And they also published a tentative schedule of what they were going to do those days. And all I would highlight here is you could see on day 1, they arrive, they unpack, do some Bible stuff, whatever. Look at day 2 on Thursday on the bottom left of your screen here. At 10 o'clock, small group. From 11 to 5, service project. That's the bulk of the day. They're going to do something to help the community, and then Bible shit and whatever. And on day 3, on Friday, the big event, 12 to 5, beach. Cool. And then boring Bible stuff. And then they leave the last day. So again, sounds like it would be a fun time if you happen to be a member of that church. Okay, no biggie right there. Now, a week before they took off, the same student ministry for this church posted this on social media where they were like, it's no longer a youth camp. Now it's a mission trip, which is kind of different. And maybe you say that's a distinction without a difference. But okay, that's a little different than what we thought we were going to do. But all right. So now they're going to go on this trip. And here's the thing, because it was such a shift from what they originally said they were going to do, like the beach, the canoeing, the sports, there was one mother who goes to the church and her child was going on this trip. The mother's name is Courtney Wingo. And she asked the youth ministry's director, Mike Webb, she was like, are they like evangelizing to people when they are at this youth camp? And I think the answer was yes. And she's like, are they evangelizing to homeless people when they are there? Because that's a very different thing. And according to one website, she asked about that, and she was concerned because they were going to Houston, and it's considered a pretty violent city. And she said that Mike Webb told her that, look, the service project the kids are going to do involves serving food at a local food bank. And so the mother was like, oh, that sounds fine. So sure, my daughter can go on this trip. So they paid off the balance. Not only that, I should point this out. The mother didn't pay the balance. Her daughter was so excited about this trip, she took up all of her saved birthday money from maybe a couple years. It amounted to $250. The daughter paid for this trip out of her own pocket. So anyway, they go on this trip. The plan was to go work at a local food bank, which is perfectly commendable and a safe service project. I have no problem with that part of it. But apparently, right after they finish serving some food at the food bank, they get in the vans, presumably to go back to their base camp, and they were driven to a local tent city where a lot of unhoused people set up tents under a bridge and basically live there because they have nowhere else to go. And this was not on the agenda. Those kids, by the way, were as young as 9 years old. They do not know how to share the gospel. They don't have anything to talk about. Like, let me tell you about how my life used to be crappy and now it's amazing because I found God. They're 9. By and large, nothing bad has happened to these kids yet. So they don't know how to evangelize. They definitely don't know how to take safety precautions when talking to strangers who don't have homes. Because this isn't just, oh, I'm talking to a stranger at the mall. These are people who may have drug problems, health problems. There may be needles on the ground. They may have mental illness problems. They were not trained for any of this. And then they went there that first big day, and the second day they went back. This time they brought some food with them, I guess as a Christian bribe, because that's what they do. So, dumb. This is extremely dangerous and dumb. And I will say, uh, the 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 youth ministries people, they posted on Facebook like, "Hey everyone, here's day 1 of our trip. I'm going to show this to you. Here's what they posted on day 1. Day 1 came and went. The students were able to explore the ranch, swim in the lake, enjoy an awesome meal. It looks like they're all traveling. Maybe it's the first time on a plane for some of them. They're all having a nice time. Like, fine. It sounds like everything went fine. But day 2, this is the picture they posted on Facebook. And I want you to just pause your screen if you're looking at this and just stare at this picture for a bit. This is what the church posted on Facebook. You have all the kids down front. A lot of them are white, which I'm just pointing out just because that's kind of relevant. And on the other side, after the metaphorical and literal gap between them, you have these targets for the Christians. They have all the people in the tents. Those are the people who need to be saved. Not with food, not with housing, not with money. They just need Jesus. Like, can there be a better picture to designate like white savior complex than this picture? Have you ever seen those stories or heard of those stories where like some Christian kid says, I'm going on a mission trip. I'm going to Africa for like a week. And I'm going to take some pictures of people of color to post on my social media. And I'm going to be there for a couple of days. And we're going to build like a church and then come back home. And I have done a good deed. It's like you have not helped them with anything. Their lives are worse because you were there. That's what I mean by like the white savior complex. And what is going on here? It's all of these kids being taken to this tent city. It's so disturbing. Just the picture. I swear I stared at this for the longest time. These are people who actually need help, and they're just staring at them as if the kids have the solution, and the solution is Jesus. And I'm not blaming the kids. They were taken here. It's the adults in charge who decided this was a good idea. So the church posted that on Facebook. And by the way, I will show you their post because you should see this as well. There's the picture. I'm not making it up. It's like right there. But look at the thing they actually posted. We finished out the week seeing God do amazing things. And look at the last one on the list. 3 residents of Tent City made the decision to follow Jesus. Like, really? You're counting that as maybe just me hypothesizing here. Maybe it's because they wanted some of the food you had, and they were like, "What do you want me to say? Yeah, fine, I'll do it." Like, don't treat them as tally marks on a board somewhere. This is it's not just heartless, it's thoughtless. There are ways you can go and feed the homeless, and there are safe ways to do it. I don't know if you need permits for that sort of thing where they're at, but there are safe ways to do it. I should say they went there day 1 and they went back there day 2. My understanding from what I've read is there were about 75 kids, and they split them up into groups of 3 and 4 to go find a homeless person to convert. And there were 3 adults in charge of monitoring all of this. Meanwhile, there were another bunch of adults, maybe like 5, who stood back at a table with the food so they could give it to the people as they came to their table. But only 3 adults watching all 75 kids go in little groups to the tents and try to convert people. It's so freaking disturbing and stupid and dangerous. And these kids were just brainwashed into thinking spreading the gospel is going to override any of the actual concerns these people have. So all of this happens. They come back to their church in Alabama. And the day after they return, Mike Webb, the church's youth ministries director, he is speaking about the trip. And at this point, some of the parents know what happened. I'll get back to that mother I told you about in a second. But I want you to hear what Mike Webb told the church about what they did and how he decided that they were going to take a detour to this tent city. Listen to his words. It's disturbing.
When we went to Tent City, I'm not going to lie, when we first pulled up, we went to the food bank. When we left, I knew that we needed to go serve the homeless, not just in the food bank where it was safe. We needed to get out of our comfort zone and go. We left there, or as we were leaving, I Googled, where can I find the homeless population in Houston? First thing that pops up, Tent City. So that's where we're going. We drive over there in the vans. We pull in. Ain't no way I'm getting these kids out of this van. I will be fired. Mamas will be beating down my door. We're not getting out. We pulled to the end. We circled the cul-de-sac. We're pulling back out. Guys, I even tried to justify it. Guys, I just want you to see what's here. I want you to see how people live. I need you to understand how fortunate you are. This is what it is, guys. All right, let's head back to the ranch. But let me just tell you, we get out. We walked through and we didn't have anything because we didn't know what we were doing. That was another piece of it. I didn't want to walk in there with 75 people into a homeless village and we ain't got anything to give. Like we're just invading your space. You know what I mean? But we had that older couple that walked with us and we began talking. And I said, guys, we're coming back tomorrow. We're going to put together some food. We're going to put together some sandwiches. We're going to come back. We're going to feed and we're going to open doors. And everybody was, hearing this message and we started promoting it amongst the people. We started telling them that was our initial welcome. Hey, we're going to be back here tomorrow.
So he said so many things there that were disturbing. One, he said this wasn't really on the agenda. He just did it on a whim. He said he did an on-the-spot Google search for like homeless people in Houston. That's how we figured out where to go. So no thought put into this whatsoever. And did you hear how he was like, I knew parents would be upset with me? And he definitely had that thought. What did he say? Ain't no way I'm getting these kids out of this van. I'll be fired. Mamas will be beating down my door. And then he's like, whatevs. And then he did it anyway. Just utterly stupid. So even if you think there's a good reason, I mean, they were helping the homeless. I mean, not really, but they thought they were helping the homeless, and that's a good cause. Maybe you think that. But to take that many children to a place where safety cannot be guaranteed, where precautions were clearly and admittedly ignored, that is what's disturbing here. It's just gross incompetence on the part of the church. They are lucky nothing bad happened to the kids, because it so very easily could have. But despite what he said, what he implied anyway, not everyone was happy with what he did. And let me go back to that mother, Courtney Wingo. This is what she told one outlet. This is on the first full day where they decided to go to that tent city. Later that day, back at the ranch where the group was staying, her daughter, Cameron, called her mom and reported what had happened. She said she was not given the choice to remain in the van with any of the leaders. Cameron was not given any evangelism training, Wingo said, nor were any safety instructions provided other than stay close. Jesus. On June 6th, the next day, many from the group returned to the tent city, but this time students were given the option to stay at the lodge. Cameron chose to stay behind. Webb admitted he pressured at least a few of the students to return to the homeless camp. What are these people doing? It is unbelievable. So that mother, Courtney, she ends up confronting the church's pastor, Phil Winningham, after she hears Mike Webb's sermon that I just played for you. And she's like, what the hell just happened? What did you do? I specifically asked if you were going to go evangelize to the homeless. You told me no. And that's exactly what you did. And the church is like, how about we just refund your $250? And they did. And they haven't apologized for anything. And then later on, and I want you to see this, Courtney Wingo then sent a formal letter. Like, she made sure they signed off on it when it was delivered, so she knew they got it. And check out what she wrote to the church's elders, like the ones in charge of this place. Cameron was completely unprepared emotionally, physically, and spiritually for what she encountered in the tent city. She feels hurt, misled, and betrayed. That is not the spiritual or emotional impact I was expecting from what was advertised as a church-sponsored youth event. This is not about whether ministry to the homeless is right or wrong. It is about the ethical, legal, and moral obligation to protect minors, communicate transparently with parents, and respect clearly stated boundaries. It is completely unacceptable for a youth pastor to disregard a parent's explicit instructions and expose children to high-risk environments without consent. And as we all know by now, there's nothing churches love more than ignoring consent. So she wrote that letter. She knows they saw it. But nothing else has happened. And then when the reason we know about any of this is because that mother, Courtney, she posted about this on Reddit, which is where it got the eyeballs of some reporter. But and I think Courtney finally, she posted on Reddit and they're like, you should contact the media about this. That's when it got written about. But look at this part. When I confronted the pastor after the sermon and told him he put my daughter in a dangerous situation, his response was, yes, I did. His justification was, God led me, which is honestly the worst thing a pastor can say when he puts your kid in danger. So Courtney added that she and her daughter no longer go to that church, which is great. As far as I know, they're still Christian, but they do not attend that Southern Baptist church. She actually said in a post, a little too cult-like for me and mine. So good on them. I'm glad they left. I'm sure if they're Christian, they could find a better church that doesn't treat children like pawns to use to go convert people. That church has said on social media their next plan is to take kids to Honduras to do actual evangelizing. But shortly after this story went viral a little bit, they pulled all of that advertising from their social media. Last time I checked, it's not there. But yeah, how's that for a disturbing story? Take your kids out of church. Summer youth camps, Bible camps, not safe places to be. Okay, let's pause there. What questions do we have here? If they paid already, wouldn't that be false advertising? If they paid for like the $250 for a beach summer camp, you're saying, wouldn't that be false advertising? I feel like if you're giving money to the church and the church says, well, God spoke to us and said, do something different. Don't go to the beach, go to the tent city. I feel like a lot of parents are just not going to argue it. And kudos to one parent who did. I'm sure that none of the homeless are Christians. Yep, no homeless person has ever heard about Jesus. You know, some of those homeless people are like, oh my God, there are people here. Maybe they're going to help us. Jesus, another bunch of Bible thumpers. Like, these are the last people we need to be seeing right now. We need homes. Why don't you vote for someone who's going to make affordable public housing? Stop giving us a Bible. Cheaper than going to the zoo. You're saying taking the kids to the tent city. I believe it. I want an unhoused atheist to confront the kids with the problem of evil. You know, if there was an unhoused atheist in one of those tents who started arguing with the kids, they would have yanked the kids away and they're like, see, kids, this is why you don't actually help the homeless. Look what happens. This person doesn't believe in God. Look where he ended up. So you better believe. They would use it as like a threat of sorts for the kids. Meanwhile, their parents are probably voting for an administration that's openly hurting poor people and causing more people over time to become homeless. That's my point. You nailed it. Instead of giving them the Bible, all of the people at this church need to vote for people who are going to do something about affordable housing and trying to prevent homelessness as an epidemic. But none of them are going to do that. These are Southern Baptists in Alabama. I have very little hope that these people will ever do anything useful to actually help other people. They'll do the bare minimum, but they're not going to actually go for systemic change.